If tonight you stacked up the U.S. national debt in $1 bills, you could actually go to the moon and back more than twice. Hello again, I'm David Oliver.
And I'm Ashley Sketz. $16 trillion is a daunting number. Tonight, Caller 10's Kevin Schwaller makes sense of it.
Countries can print money, they can take loans, and also loan to other nations. And they can even outgrow debt. The ideas can seem abstract. Tonight, we look at the numbers like a family would to try to help you relate. The numbers are monumental. This is a visualization that comes close to what the national debt is today. Some groups are trying to bring the numbers down to something more recognizable.
I think that we're in a lot of trouble. You know, if this were a household, if this were just a family, my family, your family, anybody's family, yeah, you'd be in big trouble.
That's Drury accounting student Brad Ray.
We have to exercise fiscal responsibility. We have to, so I believe that the federal government should have to do the same thing.
He's reacting to some numbers we showed him. You may have seen emails or Facebook posts with figures similar to this. This is one from a Tea Party group. It aims to make the government's debt and deficits look like a home budget. We looked over the numbers with a couple of economists, got data from the Treasury Department and St. Louis Fed, and came up with a similar chart based on the last fiscal year. Now just chop off a few zeros and the numbers look more like a household budget. Income, $24,500. That person or family would have spent more than $35,000 in a year taking on new debts. That kind of spending is like having $161,000 in credit card debt. Now consider this. Congress is looking at sequestration budget cuts, which are considered dramatic. If they go through, it would only cut this household spending by $1,000 this year.
Ooh. Cut down on it.
Steve Walton is getting his taxes done.
That I've worked hard to earn it, and I don't know where it's going.
Could you live on that? Would that work? That much debt?
Oh, no.
Didn't get it last year.
Walton is a groundskeeper at Evangel University. We asked Ray if this was an individual. How are we looking?
You'd be in terrible shape.
The two are they're similar in that they're using the words debt and deficits and things like that, but that's kind of where the comparison basically ends.
The director of the Missouri Bureau of Economic Research at Missouri State University, David Mitchell, cautions the debt of a government is much different than that of a family.
So when you look at the balance, when you look at the net holdings, it's actually not as bad as it seems, although it is a problem that needs to be addressed, but it's not like, oh my gosh, the whole economy is going to collapse tomorrow.
So here's a look at the national debt, more than $16 trillion. If you look here, though, nearly $5 trillion of that the government owes within itself through programs such as Social Security. Now, the more than $11 trillion here that's left is held by the public, and a lot of that is owned by taxpayers, corporations, and others.
The other half is owned by China and Japan for the most part. So they've lent us money, but we've also lent them money too.
For every dollar in foreign claims, the U.S. has 85 cents in claims on other countries. Still, U.S. taxpayer dollars in the future will then be going to other nations rather than staying here in U.S. communities. Now this becomes the basis for the next round of talks about spending. If the government doesn't act by March 1st, $1.2 trillion in automatic cuts are set to hit the federal government. Dr. Mitchell has concerns about ballooning entitlement spending. He believes that deserves more attention than cuts to discretionary spending, such as defense. And interest rates for the U.S. right now are cheap, sometimes cheaper than free when you take into account inflation. Some believe running a deficit and a debt isn't a bad thing. They believe investment is needed to kickstart the economy. Finally, one of the most important numbers in this that we haven't mentioned so far is gross domestic product, or the size of the economy. You have an idea now of the size of the debt. Economists typically look at that figure, though, compared to GDP. Right now, the debt is around 100% of GDP, the highest level since the end of World War II.
Staggering numbers there tonight. Kevin,